Hey everyone, today's video is going to focus on powdery fragrances. I have pulled some of my favorites out of my collection, not all, but I have a couple of good handfuls to share with you. A couple on the beaten path and most of them are not. I'd love to hear from you. Are you a lover of powdery fragrances? If so, what are some of your top choices? Do tell us down in the comments so that we can hear from and learn from each other. Powder in fragrances is something that can be really challenging for me or really enjoyable. If it's overwhelmingly powdery, I have to be careful about whether I, one, want the fragrance in my collection, and two, how much of it I spray on and in what kind of conditions, meaning whether, where I'm going, who's going to be around me. I tend to think of powdery notes as ones that people either love or they just find to be overwhelming. So just know that all of these fragrances have a powdery aspect. I'll try to describe whether it's thin or medium density or like a heavy powderiness, and then tell you what I think the sort of nuance differences are between them. I'll start off with my fragrance of the day. This is from the Merchant of Venice. It is called La Fenice Parfum, which is named after a theater in Italy, if I remember correctly, called La Fenice. So this fragrance is a little bit on the heavier side in terms of the powdery aspects. It also has a good dose of vanilla and florals. Among the notes, tuberose, almond blossom, heliotrope, hawthorn, which can be a bit of a honeyed white floral, have a little bit of an animalic nuance as well. This fragrance has a decent amount of density to it, and I feel like it's lush and round, very feminine. It's got like a robust powderiness to it. I think the vanilla adds some nice round, warm touches, and the florals here are not overwhelming at all. Y'all, I think I just bent the top of this. Oh my gosh, it's like leaning to one side, cooked over to one side. Sorry, top. Hold on, let me spray a little bit more. I try not to spray a whole lot of this fragrance when I wear it because it can be a little bit overwhelming at first because that dense powderiness hits you right away when you spray it on. The vanilla and the florals add this nice feminine intrigue to it and a pretty substantial powderiness. It typically comes with a gold chain. I took the gold chain off because it was giving me like 1980s Flavor Flav vibes, and I just didn't want that on my bottle. But pretty bottle, pretty fragrance. If you like the Merchant of Venice, this is definitely one to check out. Let me rank these in terms of like the density and intensity of powder. With La Fenice on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say this is maybe like in the 7-ish range in terms of the intensity of the powdery aspect of it. I hope that that's helpful to do. Let's go next to Trussardi, and this one is called Aperitivo Milanese Porta Nuova. We'll just call it aperitivo for short. This is from the line that has these sort of greyhound heads. I've really enjoyed trying this line over the years. I've had a lot of them, and I think I've kept maybe 3 or 4. This is one of the ones that I think is just delightfully, femininely, delicately powdery in terms of the intensity level. For the powder here, I'm going to give this about a 4 or a 5. It's not on the heavier end, but it's definitely no chump. The primary notes here are like this liquored almond, this creamy heliotrope. Iris is a primary player. And for me, the iris here presents bright and almost slightly warm, probably because it's accompanied by warmer notes, rather than feeling cool and cold and austere. One of the more pretty irises in my collection. And there's vanilla in the fragrance, which I think lends to this whole composition, feeling warm, comfortable, comforting. Things that come to mind for me as I sniff this, the smell of makeup, the smell of even vanilla ice cream very slightly, the texture and feel of a faux fur blanket. This is delightful. This is one that I would feel very comfortable wearing in warmer weather, especially if it wasn't like a very steamy hot day, but up in the 80s, dry weather, etc. Really lovely. Has a bit of a gourmand edge to it, but the iris keeps it from being too sweet from the almond and, like I said, like a liquored almond note and vanilla. And that powderiness is just, it's a fresh, delightful, almost like baby powder smell accompanying the iris and the vanilla and the nutty aspects of this. This is really beautiful. It's gotten even more interesting as it has sat in my collection and matured some. Aperitivo, worth checking out. Maybe not the longest lasting fragrance, about a half a day's wear, similar to La Fenice. They will linger though on your skin after that, even though you don't really smell them farther away. They don't project very much after that. One that does seem to last quite a long time. Not a huge fan of the bottle, but man, is this one of the most amazing powdery fragrances. What we do in Paris is secret. The perfumer here is Dominique Ropion. who's one of my favorite perfumers. If I have a favorite perfumer, it's probably this gentleman here and his lovely creations. This one, this is one of those that makes your eyes roll in the back of your head. There's this honeyed vanilla aspect. And when I say honey, don't think of a thick, syrupy, heavy honey. It is a very light, delicate notion of honey with this amazing vanillic aspect. The powderiness here is very wispy and light and cloud like in nature. It's like a puff of powder. There's some floral, fruity aspects, a really, really pale light in the background, soft lychee and rose nuance. And it's just so beautiful, intoxicating, mesmerizing scent. You just want to sit in the corner and just kind of sniff on this and like daydream. Daydream about all things fluffy, girly, and pretty. So delightful. Fairly long lasting, moderate projection overall. Just great. I wish it came in a prettier bottle. Like this in the La Fenice bottle would be amazing. This in some of the bottles coming up, let me just preview for you. This in the Dama Bianca bottle, for example, I'll talk about that in just a minute, would be perfection. I want to say that's probably the only thing keeping this from being more noticed is that this, bottle doesn't stand out. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about this. So good, so intoxicating. It's never a regret when I spray this. In terms of the density of the powder, I'm going to go with probably something like the 5 to 6 range for this one. Let me go on and talk about one that people do know a lot about, and people have mixed opinions on this one. I did for a while, and then I came around to it, and that is Dama Bianca from Xerjoff's Casamarati line. This bottle is just so pretty, frosty, dreamy. Oof. Here, the main players for me are the purple flowers. There's iris and violet in the fragrance. It does have a certain amount of coolness to it because of that, like very sort of linear nature. That is tempered and or balanced out by the warmth that a beautiful vanilla adds to this. I feel like the powdery aspects of this are on the light side. I'd go in terms of the density range somewhere in like the neighborhood of about a 4 out of 10. This to me has some citrusy aspects and a good amount of musk as well. The musk is lighter and wispier, and the powderiness stays light and wispy here too. It's an elegant fragrance. People talk about this potentially being a good bridal fragrance, probably because it's both equal parts cool and put together and sophisticated as it is warm, cozy, and enveloping all at the same time. The longevity on here is notoriously poor. For me, it's probably somewhere in the 3 to 4 hour range. Some days it has been less, and some days it has just been in the 3 to 4 hour range. And the frostiness of the bottle, the transparency of the bottle gives you a sense of what this fragrance smells like. Really lovely. You do have to enjoy those purple florals to like this, and the vanilla and the powder aspects together. Just really a delightful fragrance. I've talked about this next fragrance quite a bit this spring, so I won't go on and on except to say that Aqua Incanta from Gritti definitely deserves a place among the powdery fragrances. This one has been compared to Teint de Neige. Is that how you say it? Teint de Neige from Lorenzo. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the last name. I'll put it on the screen. And yes, it does smell like that, but it's not quite the powder bomb that that one is, at least not in my opinion, but it is still a powdery fragrance. I love that this also has nice vanilla in it to sort of balance out the powderiness and keep it from being too powder bomb. Has a lovely iris note, and I feel like there are other florals in here as well that keep this fragrance on the floral, well, iris is a floral, but other florals, I think it's a rose note, to keep to balance out the powdery aspects. And I find that this is like equal parts cool and sophisticated and warm and cozy. And it also has this sort of clean smelling aspect to it. Maybe not quite soapy, but something like in that direction where it feels like a cozy, clean, and sophisticated fragrance to me. Pretty good lasting power. And I just can't stop sniffing myself when I wear this fragrance. When I had the decant of it, I fell in love with it. It started off really cool to me, like almost like austere and standoffish. And then as it settled on my skin and meshed with my chemistry, if you will, and started to open up and blossom and bloom and all of those things, it felt warmer, more inviting, more friendly, like that friend that's hard to get to know at first because they're maybe a little bit shy and standoffish, but once you get to know them, you can't get enough of them. They're your best friend, Aqua Incanta. And it lasted a long time. Nice, decent projection. Just, I said I wasn't going to go on and on. And here I am going on and on. It's beautiful. The density of the powder here, I would probably put in the 5 to 6 range, not the heaviest of powders, not exclusively a powder bomb because of those balancing aspects, but it's got some powderiness to it and it's lovely. Aqua Incanta. Speaking of fragrances, I simply cannot and will not shut up about. One of my favorites in my entire collection, powdery fragrance or not. I call this heaven in a bottle because it definitely feels like it. This is from Widian. This is Rose Arabia White. One of the most mesmerizing, captivating, capture my heart, mind, and soul fragrances of all time. I can't get enough of this. This is one of those fragrances, along with probably Printemps Blanc from the recent offerings, and now Marshmallow Musk joins this. It's in that category of fragrances that have florals, fluffy aspects to them, sweet aspects to them, that just make me feel like I am in my highest state of delicate, lovely femininity. This is magnificence in a bottle. It's sweet, it's floral, it is the most refined cloud of powderiness. So it doesn't smell like little pieces of fine talc powder that you put in the air. It's something indescribable, like an ethereal powderiness that is you wanna eat your arm off, not because it's edible, but because you smell so dang good. Beautiful, creamy almond note, creamy sandalwood, creamy tonka bean. It's creamy and powdery and floral and sweet and all things feminine, beautiful, ethereal, angel-like. Can I go on and on about this? I need to stop. Amazingness. Powderiness level, density, I'd probably go with somewhere in like the 3 to 4 range because it actually leans creamy and powdery at the same time. It's not a powder bomb, but it has enough powderiness that it deserved a place in this lineup, and it is to die for. To die for. If you haven't tried this, please do. Get yourself a decant. I'm not, one to be telling people to go blind buy stuff, but if you're going to blind buy anything that I'm talking about today, this might be the one that I would suggest. One of my overall favorite scent profiles in this lineup is In Moon Carnival. There is something really familiar and intoxicating about this. It reminds me of some combination of Michael from Michael Kors, the Kim Kardashian one in the black round bottle. I think it was just called Kim Kardashian. Florence from Toka, another of my favorite romantic, beautiful fragrances. And so it has tuberose and gardenia and I think another white floral. And it has this marshmallowy aspect to it that gives it some fluff. It's ethereal at the same time. It reminds me, like people talk about something being a fairy fragrance. This is like a fairy godmother fragrance because it has the maturity of the white florals that, tuberose can be a very mature note, but it stays on the lighter, like more palatable, easy to wear side. The powderiness here is probably the least dense of the lineup, well, maybe with the exception of one I'll talk about later. So I'm going to say it's somewhere in the 2 to 3 range in terms of the powderiness. But yes, it has some powderiness, that marshmallow kind of fluffy aspect. This kind of hovers in the air. Like if this were a character, it would be a fun fairy godmother with white flowy dresses, big butterfly wings on it, hovering, sprinkling fairy dust through the air. Beautiful on the white florals, just a magnificent scent profile that is so highly feminine and at the same time delicate, has like that, like a motherly or womanly or maybe auntie even kind of aspect to it, like that hug in a bottle kind of deal. The lasting power isn't tremendous. I mean, you might get a half a day out of this. If it had really good lasting power, it might be up among the best tuberose scents I have ever smelled. Really, really amazing scent profile. I have 3 pretty strong ones and then an honorable mention to round out the video. Up next is Sugar. Oh my gosh, this is so gross with the fingerprints. 1 minute, please. Is that a little better? Sugar from Franck Boclet. This thing is thick, thick, thick thighs, thick thigh thick with the powder in between an 8 and a 9 in terms of the density level, really high up there. Maybe it gets an actual 10 in terms of the thickness of the powderiness. There's marshmallow, sugar notes, sweet notes. There's some gourmand notes. Like I think there's caramel and some other notes like that. You don't like pick those out distinctly like, oh, I smell caramel. But it does have a sweetness to it. Intensely sweet, heavily powdery, some honey touches to it, and it still has perfumey aspects. Like I can pick up some type of florals, a good dose of vanilla for even more base to this fragrance. Pretty long lasting, fairly eternal. You will choke out the entire room if you spray too much. Be gentle with spraying sugar, and you have to like a sugared, powdered, vanillic fragrance. Very strong, Very strong, is all I can say. So this is one of those at your own risk fragrances. You have to be gourmand, powder lover, like vanilla, and like intense fragrances, sugar. Similar caution with Amouage's Blossom Love, which I talked about in my May Fragrance Awards. Heavy on the powder, maybe not quite as dense as sugar, but I would put this up there in the 8.5-ish range in terms of the density of the powderiness or the heaviness of the powderiness, rather. The powderiness here is actually not that dense. It's not like a creamy, thick, crowded powder. It's a little bit more wispy, but the intensity of it kind of can punch you in the face if you wear too much of this. So definitely take it easy on the trigger. This is a cherry blossom and rose powdery fragrance with like an almond liqueur type of deal. I think it's amaretto is the note that's here. And so it's intense. It's intense. It's got vanilla in the base as well, like Frank Clay, even though the powderiness here is less dense. It's a little bit more airy than in sugar, but it's still intense. Okay, it's still intense. Very pretty, very feminine, very intense fragrance. Smells like it has a lot of almond in it as well, but the floral, powdery, vanillic nature of this fragrance stands out to me. Lovely bottle too. Very intense, very long lasting, very projecting. Just a few sprays with this one. Just a few sprays. You have to trust me. Don't go overboard. It is intense. If you like Love Don't Be Shy by Killian and you wanted it to be more long lasting and have greater presence, you may want to give Istanbul from Unique A, Unique A. Who knows how to say the name of this house? Help us down below. Give Istanbul a try. Lovely bottle. It's interesting what people pick up on this. If you go to Fragrantica, people will say this smells like grapes, which I find fascinating. And I'm trying to find the grapes in it. I guess if I sit here long enough and think about it, yes, it smells like grapes to me. But for me, this is like a Love, Don't Be Shy, more intense version, maybe thicker on the marshmallowy, powdery aspects of it. There's some citrus aspects, some sweetness. When I look at the notes for this, none of these notes would imply that you're going to have any powderiness. And so I am not sure where that's coming from. I would give the powdery aspects of this fragrance in terms of density like a 6, although the fragrance itself is intense and long lasting, not overpowering like sugar, like Blossom Love if you spray too much, but don't spray too much. Like this is one of those that's better with some medium spritzes because it keeps it light and airy and fun. Keeps it from being too serious. So this is really quite nice. Did I say the density yet? I'm going to say in the 6 to 7 range in terms of the density of the powderiness. Marshmallows, fresh powderiness, vanilla, citrus, and maybe some touches of fruity aspects. Quite fun. This is a good one. And then perhaps an honorable mention. I'm not sure if this belongs in this category because I might consider it more of a musky, skin scenty type of fragrance, but it does have enough powdery aspects that I'd like to talk about. Musk Nude from Narciso Rodriguez. What a pretty little bottle here with the frosted pink. Yeah, I would say the muskiness stands out more to me than the powdery aspects. The powdery aspects here are on the lighter side. I'm going to go with something in the neighborhood of like a 3 in terms of the density of the powderiness. There's pepper and some floral notes. The noticeable one for me is rose. So a light, almost watery rose, a little hint of some pepper, beautiful skin scenty, light, bright musk, a delicate powderiness, a little bit of woodiness and patchouli in the base, like delicate amounts of that. This is so delightful. It's a fairly light wearing fragrance and not very long lasting. Some people actually get longevity out of this. I feel like it's sort of a half a day wear, one of those fragrances that you might put under a sweater. When you want to have a beautiful scent, but sort of closer to you, more intimate, you don't want to impact people around you. Great evening scent, great bedtime scent, great hang around the house in your pajamas after your fresh pajamas after you've bathed and you want sort of a feminine skin scent. This is delightful for that. Friends, that brings us to the end of the video. Please don't forget to include your favorite powdery fragrances below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Get ready because the summer videos are coming up. I'm so excited to share those with you. We're also going to do a mid-year check-in on the best releases of the year so far because 2025 came in hot with some gorgeous releases. So I'm excited to share my top picks with you so far. Take care.